All right, everybody, bear with me. It's been a while since I've made one of these videos, so and I don't know what kind of quality or condition my laptop's in for the audio, so hopefully I don't waste a ton of time here talking to realize the video is not going to work. Um, so this video is going to be for a lightweight flywheel and a manual Challenger, um, which is pretty much the only manual hemi vehicle that you'll be tuning. Um, as far as I know, unless I'm not paying attention. So the issue that we have with lightweight flywheels is that they spin up super fast, which we like, but they spin down super fast, which typically causes the vehicle to shut off and is very difficult to tune. Now, this vehicle specifically is a 2010, which uses the old style computer. I don't know if it'll tell me that, yeah, this NGC4. Um, this computer sucks for tuning compared to the GPEC computers. All the tables and stuff in hptuners are pretty much identical, but the tuning is way different. It is significantly easier to tune this in a newer, like let's say like a 14 or 15 and up. But we're going to go over the few things that were changed in order to make this work. This has an HRT2 cam, which is not a super aggressive cam by any means. So the cam wasn't what was making the car die. Now, don't get me wrong, an HRT2 cam will make a car die if not tuned properly, but it doesn't take that long, and I have videos showing you how to do it already. So if we can go more into depth into something else on this, just let me know and we will. Idle. You can see here a bunch of stuff has changed. So this is actually a RAM computer that we had to convert to run in the Challenger because the rectifier or whatever you call it for the alternator of the computer burned up and it was the only computer I had. So some of these aren't required to be changed, you know, like a lot of this automatic transmission stuff. I like my cam cars to run at a 704 for idle. So we go through and make sure all the lowest idles are 704, 704. I think we raise it in a couple areas. See AC, we run to 752. This rolling here, I put at 800. That way when you're rolling off of a stoplight or something, it's wanting a little bit more from you in order to keep the vehicle running. So you want to go through and basically change all these to your minimums, which is going to be a 700, a 750, or 800, depending on your situation. So that's the good start there. You don't need to mess with any of this. This stuff is messed with by me in order to modify the cam sound. The engine's computer is designed to smooth the cam out. So you'll notice after you put a big cam in these cars, a lot of times it'll just idle nicely. And the reason why most people do cams, especially in these heavy Hemi vehicles, a lot of people just want the sound. They don't even care about the performance. So I have a video for that, so don't need to go over it here. As you'll notice, some of these are grayed out because the original file, stock file, was read on a way older version of hptuners. As I'm doing a compare here. The desired airflow on startup, we typically times this by 1.2, this whole table, which we go over in the cam video as well. Speed density stuff here, this has to do with tuning it to run properly. Electronic throttle, adaption has to be disabled. The computer will not adapt properly. It'll actually make things super difficult, okay? Max demanded throttle. You can see that this table has been heavily modified, does not look anything like the stock table. And the reason for that is this vehicle was so touchy off the line that the car would jerk or you'd almost want to peel the tires out. So this is what we designed here to be able to leave the line without the car bucking super hard. Small range and large range. Here is where a lot of your changes are to get this thing to stay running properly. So you'll see here stock, and you can see here we are lower than stock in this area and higher than stock here. same thing here. And it's basically, you can see these here, the same exact changes are identical on these tables right here. So that helps big time. It helps slow it down. And basically, by blipping the throttle open a little bit more, it allows for more air in, which allows for a little bit more fuel, which brings the desired torque up a little bit and helps slow the flywheel down. This again, this is more than likely this startup cranking. This is for starting it with a cammed vehicle. Again, some of this stuff we go over in the cam videos. Now, the big one here is this torque loss table. This is where a lot of work gets done. So here is factory, and you can see as the RPMs are higher, we want more torque reserve. It's called in a lot of other vehicles. This is the amount of torque that it wants when you are not on the throttle at this specific torque in this here. And I might be wording this wrong because let's see. This is a model of friction torque losses with the engine. So this tells it how much torque is lost at this specific area. Okay. We do it the other way around now. You can see up here, a lot of this stuff's the same up here, but way down here, we're like, hey man, you're losing a crap load of torque. And so the engine is going to try and save or reserve some of this torque as the flywheel falls. So you get on it, you're way up here, and as you start slowing down, it starts coming through this area here. It's like, hey, not a lot of torque loss. And as we're getting close to idle, it's like, oh crap, we're losing torque. And it tries to add it back in here. So these are the few things that are required to prevent it from dying at idle. This stuff is a lot easier on GM cars. Hemi cars are significantly harder to tune based on things like this and based on the fueling, the way we do the fueling and stuff on it. Once you learn how to do it, it's fine. But you'll notice, you know, we even have this table here isn't even the same as stock here. I think I go over that in another video, but I actually changed some of this stuff over here in order to have more, God, what is the term here? Not sensitivity, but basically, let's say your truck here, always, or your car here always bounces between this 7.6 and this 12, okay? Or no, hold on. Let's say it bounces between this 0.35 and this 7.6. Okay, look how close the 7.6 and this 0.35 are. Okay, so we're adding more resolution by opening this gap up. So I can make a video on how to do that properly, but we're adding more resolution in drivability and tunability here because this is where the vehicle spends most of its time. But let's see how long we're on here. Okay, we're getting close to the 10-minute mark, which a lot of my videos end up being, but this basically is a majority of what you got to go over to in order to make it run and not die on you coming up to stoplights. Here's another thing. This is where it gets a little bit iffy and you can play with this part yourself. So you want a nice lopey idle based on the lope part of this where we went through and we did. So this here is the range. So as let's say your RPM error goes here, it takes away timing. Your RPM error goes here, it adds timing, and it bounces back and forth, which gives you the whoop, 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 whoop. Now, this isn't faking it. This is making it react significantly harder and throwing it one direction over and over again. Now, you're going to get a way lopier and better idle if your spark minimum goes down super low. Like technically, see like this is -30. This here should be at least -30. The problem is, again, pulling up to intersections, by allowing the timing to drop that fast, it can kill the engine. So if you notice here, we got it set at 15. This is just kind of something that you got to battle with. You know, do you want your car to die at intersections or do you want your car to sound really cool? So you got to battle back and forth on this older one to get the most drivability out of it and the best sound at the same time. Because, you know, when you pull up to a stoplight in a Hemi, if it just have a straight, smooth idle, it doesn't sound aggressive. It's not a scary car. Nobody's going to want to race it, or everybody will want to race it. But like this Challenger, it's got headers, it's straight piped, it's cammed. You roll up to the intersection and it's actually hard to get races because people are like, holy shit, that guy's got some money in that Hemi car. Because face it, most Hemi owners don't dump money into them. They maybe put an exhaust on it and a sound system and some wheels and they call it a day. Um, so being able to do this and have the sound significantly more aggressive sounding uh, is kind of cool. You know, so but you got to fight back and forth between drivability because nothing looks worse than driving a manual and pulling up to an intersection and having it die or go to take off and you stall it out. You look like a jerk off. So any more questions, let me know. But this is the minimum stuff required after you cam the vehicle and after you do the tuning to get it to run properly um, at an intersection. But beware, if you have all of your air fuel dialed in properly, once you make changes to these controls here, you are going to have to dial in your air fuel a little bit because it is going to mess with your air fuel tables a hair. Another reminder is if you are having headers, where is it here? Wow, I'm losing it here. No, I guess I don't remember where it is. But if you have headers on the vehicle, there is a thing with the oxygen sensors to that has to do with the timing of heating them up and how they read. You need to make sure that that is properly set. Why the can't I find it? I made another video of it, okay? But somewhere there is something to do with the oxygen sensors and the time it takes for them to heat up and whatnot. You need to make sure that it is correct for your car. This actually has SRT headers on it, so I had to change the settings to the settings from the SRT, and I cannot find it for some reason right now. But those of you who watch my videos know I do have a Hemi video on how to properly set the delayed airflow or whatever it's called for the headers themselves. So make sure you watch that video and make sure it's correct. All right, see you guys later.